Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. In this video I'm going to show you how to cut a lapel collar, how to cut a collar for a lapel jacket. You guys have requested for this video so much, so much, so I decided to do a tutorial for you guys. I hope you enjoy it. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button and the notification bell so you'll be part of the family. Let's just go into the tutorial. So before we start, I just want to quickly show you what the neckline of the lapel jacket looks like. You can see from the neckline, you can see that we have the raw neckline there. Then we also have like the lapel extension. A little bit of the lapel extension is turned over while the rest is not turned over. So this is the back, the side, the front. So we need to attach the lapel collar so that by the time we fold the jacket like so, it's going to form, you know, that lapel effect we really want. So to start the tutorial, I'm starting with my piece of fabric and of course the already sewn lapel jacket. I have a tutorial on how to cut a lapel jacket here on this channel. Definitely check it out, link in the description box. So you can see that the lapel extension is turned over. Okay, I turned over about 3 inches of the lapel extension, so you can, you know, do as much as you want to turn over. I think I have to do a tutorial on how to sew a lapel jacket. I'll do that for you guys, don't worry. Now, to get the measurement of the collar, that's the length of the collar we are working with, you will just align the neckline of the lapel jacket. You align everything together, you secure with a pin. Then from that point, you know, we turned over a little portion of the lapel extension, we turned it over. So from that point that the turnover stopped, we are going to extend our tape down to the center of the lapel jacket. Okay, so while I'm still securing with a pin, I decided to just give this whole explanation for you guys. So I kept securing with a pin. I made sure everything was in place. So from that point where the turnover stopped, I just extended my tape back and I have about 8.2 inches there. So you want to do this on both sides of the jacket, so you make sure, you be very sure that your measurement is precise and is correct. Okay, yeah, so this is what I have here. I have 8.2 inches from the center to the point where the turnover of the lapel extension stopped. Now you can see that there's a little groove, you know, straight, then we have a slant. Okay, is straight, then we have a slant. You're going to take the measurement of that point to that point. Okay, now, so I extended my tape as well, and I have about 3 inches, 2.9 inches, something like that, around there. So you just have to take these measurements. So I'm working with, so you take on one side, then you also go ahead to take on the other side. So on one side I had 2.9 inches, on the other side I had about 3 inches, so I'm going to be working with 3 inches. Okay, so this is why you have to measure on both sides. We are good. Now this is the piece of fabric we're going to use to cut the lapel collar. So I'm going to fold it into two like so, and from the center I'm going to mark 8.2 inches. And I know in this tutorial you are seeing that I marked 8.5 inches, but I later on I corrected it while I was sewing. So in case you see me marking 8.5 inches, I actually worked with 8.2 inches. Okay, so I marked the length of the original length of the collar first. Okay, marked, then I connected the markings with a straight line. Then from the center top I marked 3 inches from the top, not from the center. I marked 3 inches for the width of the collar. So I did this across the entire width of the fabric, and I connected my markings with a straight line. So after connecting my markings with a straight line, I'm going to go back and add 1/2 inch sewing allowance. Now when I'm sewing, no, it's because of this tutorial, that's why I'm adding half an inch sewing allowance, because I want to give you guys a precise measurement. When I am cutting mine off camera, I kind of eyeball it. It's not up to half an inch, okay, because half an inch is too much. But if I tell you guys half of an inch, you might get confused. Now from that point, I extended my tape backwards and marked that 3 inches. Remember that 3 inches we marked for the width of the slant, for the length of that slant. I extended my tape backwards and marked the 3 inches. Then from the top, at that point, I marked 2 inches downwards. Okay, so this is what we have here, and I'm going to connect my markings with a slanted line, because remember that's groove, that slant. Okay, we are trying to form the slant here in the collar, so that by the time we sew our collar, it is well relaxed and it's not puffing. So this is the slant we have here. Now from here, you can leave your collar to be, you know, square shape, but me, I like, for this tutorial, I actually wanted mine to be a little curvy, so I just went ahead to mark half an inch. I was trying to, you know, add a little curve, which even landed me in more problems, but you know, I still had a way of finding, you know, making it curved. So if you want yours to be straight, you can leave it, you know, without putting in this curve I was trying to put in here, but mine, I wanted it to be a little curvy, so I just went half an inch downwards and I did the curve, and I just used my straight ruler after so many manipulations, and I just curved it. Okay, so this is what we have here, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, so this is the color already. It is this simple to cut, very simple, very easy, very straightforward. Okay, so when I was done drawing out the entire outline, I just used my scissors and I cut through. I secured with a pin, because you know it will be moving around. It's a fabric, it wants to mess you up. Just secure it with a pin. So after securing a pin, I just used my scissors and I just kept cutting it round till I cut out all the excess pieces I did not want, I did not need. It is not needed. Okay, so this is the first piece. Of course, you know that the collar, we need a facing for the collar, so of course I still carried the fabric, secured and placed it on the second piece that we're working with, secured with a pin, and I just used my scissors as well to cut through. So after cutting the second piece, here is what we have. These are the 2 pieces for the lapel collar. I know it's looking one kind like this, but you know, this is how the lapel collar is cut. So I took it to my ironing table and I placed them on the ironing table like so, and I'm just going to attach a little gum stay to it, because it's a collar and we need it to be strong and firm. Okay, so you need to apply a gum stay, a paper stay, whichever you work with, apply it to the collar. So when I was done applying and trimming out the excess, this is what we have here. This is one piece, then this is the second piece. Okay, so we are going to line them on each other. We're going to make sure all points are aligned, but before we align them on each other, you're just going to go back to the collar and mark out, you know, that sewing allowance we added. So we added about half an inch sewing allowance, so I'm just going to go to the side and mark those points. Okay, now you know, when you mark out, you mark those points where your sewing allowance started from, you now have like your main working piece for the collar. Do you understand? So when I was done marking, I just aligned the collar, the second piece on the first piece, and I'm just going to sew round. You guys can see that this tutorial is very simple, very easy, and very straightforward. So when I was done marking, I took it over to my sewing machine and I just sewed it together. Okay, it is that simple, it is that easy, guys. If you're enjoying this tutorial up to this point, make sure you give this video a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't, hit that subscribe button. Okay, so I just went ahead to sew. When I was done sewing, I cut out, you know, the excess around that curved end, because I want that curved end to be able to relax. Then I went ahead to just use my scissors to do little splits of the sewing allowance so that the collar will be well relaxed. Then I turned it over. Okay, you are not going to fix the collar like that now, Abby. So you have to turn it over. So I turned it over, and now I'm going to give it a very good press. So it's back on the ironing table, and I gave it a very good press. You guys, I pressed the life out of this collar. Trust me, you guys know me, I pressed the life out of it. So I gave it a very good press. Okay, so when I was done ironing, you can see how smooth it is. Okay guys, it is this smooth. The next thing I went ahead to do is I'm going to align all the points together. So the slanted points, I'm just going to align it to every point of the collar. So see, from that point I'm going to align this part of the collar to it, and I'm going to secure a pin. Okay, and I'm just going to do that for the rest part of the collar. I'm going to align each point together around the slanted point. I'm going to make sure everything is well aligned. So I'm done securing with a pin. So this is what we have here. I'm going to turn over to that slanted point. You can see that the slanted point in the collar and the slanted point on the jacket, they were at the same point, like they merged at the same point. I aligned them at the same point. I don't know which other English I need to speak for you guys to understand, but you understand what I'm trying to say. All the slanted points, all the straight points are well aligned. One thing I'm going to do is I'm going to attach just one side. Okay, you guys notice that I secured just one side of the collar to the jacket. So I'm just going to sew just one piece of the collar to the jacket. And trust me, I wanted to show you guys this process. Like, I didn't cut it out because I want you guys to see the turning and the twisting I'm doing, I was doing while I was trying to attach the collar to the dress. So I just kept sewing it to the dress, turning and turning, because you guys know our necklines, they are not exactly straight, and we are trying to attach a straight collar to the neckline. So you have to do some turning and twisting. Even when you're sewing, when you get to that slanted point, you have to go slanted, you can't sew straight. Okay, so I attached one piece of the collar to the fabric, to the jacket. I don't know why I'm calling it fabric when I've sewn it into a gorgeous jacket. And when I was done, you can see what we have here. Okay, so this is what we have here, guys. The next thing I'm going to do now, okay, you can see the slanted point. You can see how they aligned properly, because I made sure first of all they were well aligned while I was pinning them, and I also made sure that it was well aligned when I was sewing it, and make sure I did the slanted sewing. I didn't sew straight along that point. Now what you are going to do to cover up the lapel collar is just what you do for your normal collar. You're just going to fold and top stitch. Okay, you're going to fold and top stitch. Very simple, guys. Fold and top stitch, then do it for the entire collar. So I took it back to my sewing machine, and I just folded and I top stitched, I folded and I top stitched. I just continued like that. Like, I enjoyed this top stitching process more than the attaching of the collar to the main piece. This one is simpler than attaching the collar. Okay, so I just kept sewing and top stitching. You want to make sure your stitches are straight. You might not get it straight the first time, but please just make sure they are straight, because this is like the whole beauty of the jacket. And if your stitches come out clumsy or jaga jaga, like we call it in Nigeria, it is bending one kind, it will look beautiful. Okay, so just try to sew straight, make sure it's fine, make sure the jacket is smooth. Don't go and overfold fabric that will not make the jacket come out puffy. So just try, and the amount that you attach to the collar, try and take that amount as well when you are folding. Okay, so I just kept folding and sewing. You guys notice I showed you the whole process because I want you to see the whole behind the scene of how I don't just want you to feel I'm just sewing straight and it's so simple. Even the pro she still has to take her time. That's if I'm a pro self. So when I was done sewing, you will notice that some lapel collars, they have like a top stitch around the collar. So this is the best time to put the top stitch. So from that point, you're just going to top stitch it all the way to the other side of the collar. So that's what I did here. Okay, now one way to sew this thing straight is to kind of Me, I normally use my foot presser to do like the measurement here. So I normally use like my foot presser to gauge where I should sew and where I shouldn't sew. That's if you're having issues with sewing straight. If you don't want to do the whole foot presser eyeballing, you can just use your chalk to mark the whole hemisphere. Is it hemisphere? To mark the whole portion of where you want the stitches to be. I don't know the kind of English I'm speaking. So when I was done top stitching, I just took it back to my ironing table and I gave it a really good press. When you want to sew your collar, just make sure you have your steaming iron close by. It will help the collar come out really beautiful and fine. So I just gave it a really good press. After sewing, I went ahead to, you know, fold it and iron it. I just kept ironing and ironing and ironing and ironing. Okay guys, I ironed the life out of the collar. Okay, you really need to do this. So when I was done ironing, this is what it looks like, guys. Is it not simple? Is it not beautiful? If you enjoyed this tutorial, make sure you give this video a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't, and I will see you in my next. Okay, make sure you hit the subscribe button and the like button as well. Bye.